Hey guys, how's it going? It's Danconia and welcome back to Overwatch League Roundup 2019 off-season transfers. And two transfers that could change the shape of a team for an entire season. Now, can you guess what I'm alluding to here? In the past day or so, we've had two transfers to the Florida Mayhem, and it really could change this team entirely. It really, really could. Now, bit of history. We know that the Florida Mayhem, after their inaugural season collapse, decided to go for an all-Korean roster. A bit late, don't get me wrong, a bit late. They kind of changed it just as the season was starting, but hey, we'll get past it. But now they're kind of trying to take form now, and these two players that they've signed are fantastic. It's Yaki and JNATHYN from Runaway. Now, obviously, if you're wise up with the Overwatch League at the moment, you'll know how good Runaway players usually are. Hence the Vancouver Titans. But, yes, the Vancouver Titans didn't win the league, don't get me wrong, but they came darn close. So, Runaway players, Runaway have this knack of just creating and finding fantastic players. You know, they're amazing at these players that they develop. It's just, I don't know how Runaway do it. Hats off to Runner and Flowervin. They always do it and always have done it. And it's fantastic the way they do it. So, JNATHYN is 21 and Yaki is 18. And these two players really could change the shape of the Florida Mayhem. So we know with the Florida Mayhem roster, I'll go through it. Saya player, Chris, BQB, Fate, Byram, Gargoyle, Carrian, Yaki, and now JNATHYN as well. So, not all of these players are nailed down, right? Actually, very few of them are. But I don't think now the Florida Mayhem need to change too much to become actually a really good team. So, when we look at the DPS, let's start off with the DPS. And my DPS pairing for the Florida Mayhem right now would be Saya player and Yaki. And when I look at that DPS lineup, I think that could go toe-to-toe with some of the best DPS in the league. We know how good Saya player is on hitscan. He's always been a standout player for the Florida Mayhem since they signed him in 2018. And I've always thought, why has another team not picked this guy up? Because he's so darn good and he's kind of languishing in the Florida Mayhem with not much around him. Well, now it looks like he's finally getting the teammates around him that might propel him to the top of the league or near the top of the league. Florida Mayhem really could be a different team next season. Yaki is a fantastic, fantastic player. Only 18 years old, been tearing things up with Runaway, won Contender Season 2 career last year, and yes, they came third in the gauntlet, losing to the Atlanta Academy, but that's no mean feat because the ATL Academy are actually quite good. I think we all know that. But Yaki has the projectile, right? The Pharah, the Genji. He also has a Sombra in his back pocket as well, which is really, really good. Really versatile player. And I think Saya player and Yaki could be a very, very good DPS duo for the Florida Mayhem. I mean, better than some of the stuff that, you know, London Spitfire could run out. They might be able to compete with the likes of NYXL if they can pop off to the extent I really believe those two can together. If Florida Mayhem make this work, obviously. A lot of it comes down to coaching, don't get me wrong. Now, then we have a look at the tanks for the Florida Mayhem, and we look, I would be probably going with Fate and Gargoyle, although I think they did try to use Carrian with Gargoyle. It depends what the Florida Mayhem want to do. Personally, I would go with Fate, because Fate has an incredible amount of experience at the Overwatch World Cup, in the Overwatch League with the Valiant previously. I think Fate's a really stable main tank and could lead this team very, very well. Gargoyle, I think we were all very impressed at the end of last season when they brought Gargoyle in. He looked really, really good in that off-tank role. On the Roadhog, on the D.Va. Is his Sigma up to scratch? I'm not sure, because we haven't seen his Sigma. But I don't think Sigma's going to be all that much meta-wise when we get to the Overwatch League, depending on what happens between now and then. But if we look at the PTR, it's a nasty time for a Sigma. Yeah. But, you know, if they get to play Orisa Hog, then I think this really plays into Florida Mayhem's hands. If Gargoyle, I'm not sure about Gargoyle Zarya. That's a question. That's a question I can ask. But I think, to be quite honest, I think they've got a pretty decent tank lineup. I put it this way, I think there are teams in the league that have worse tank lineups than the Florida Mayhem. And we all know that from a video a couple of days ago. But I think this is looking good. And then we look at the supports for the Florida Mayhem right now. So that's Chris, Byram, and Gangnam Jin. Now, obviously, Gangnam Jin is the one that stands out here, obviously being signed from Runaway. This is one of the players I've been on about. He's an Ana Zen sort of player. Gangnam Jin has always been like a staple name for Runaway in the past year or so. He's looked really, really good. And again, another guy, he knows how to win things, right? He knows how to win things. He has 2 contenders medals under his belt with Runaway, and a bunch of NetEase tournaments as well. So Gangnam Jin is no stranger to winning competitions. The question is, can Chris and Byram keep up with Gangnam Jin? And I honestly think they can. Now, if I was going to play someone, it would depend on the meta, right? If you're going to go for Lucio, I think you'd be more likely to play Chris. If you're going to go for a Moira, you're more likely to play Byram, I think. But Chris is more of a main support, right? Byram has these off picks like the Ana, the Zen, which covers kind of what Gangnam Jin covers, right? So if I was to predict Florida Mayhem's support lineup, I'd probably say it will be Gangnam Jin and Chris, which actually, pretty decent lineup. Chris has been at Florida Mayhem for quite a while now, and he did really well in Apex with Meta and Thena. So that's no shabby lineup for the Florida Mayhem. And when you look, if I was to name my team for the Florida Mayhem right now, it would be Gangnam Jin, it would be Chris, it would be Gargoyle, it would be Fate, it would be Sire Player, and it would be Yaki. And when you look at that team, that's actually a darn good team. When I look at it on paper, and remember, this is all looking at it on paper, this looks like a really, really good team going into the Overwatch League 2020 season. And a team that is like playoff potential. I'm seriously mean that. I have never, ever said that about the Florida Mayhem before. But if they keep this team together, they are playoff contenders. If they can make it work. And there's no reason why they can't. And remember, they got fantastic players like BQB and Carrion if they needed to sub in someone different. So, actually, this roster, this 9-man roster that's currently, well, not officially signed for the 2020 season, but their current active squad, this actual roster looks pretty good. And I think it could mean that Florida Mayhem really do pop off in the 2020 season. And the last thing that, in my opinion, knits this all together for the Florida Mayhem is their new head coach. Their new head coach is Kuki. Now, you might remember Kuki, who played for the Seoul Dynasty and the Los Angeles Valiant as a tank. Well, he moved to a coaching role at Runaway with Gangnam Jin and Yaki, right? See where we're going with this? Kuki coached that Runaway team to their 2019 Season 2 Overwatch Contenders career title when they beat Element Mystique. And he was coaching them at the Gauntlet when they came third behind the ATL Academy and Element Mystique as well. So, Kuki is actually a great loss for Runaway, but it's a great game for the Florida Mayhem. Bringing him in with the likes of Gangnam Jin and Yaki, I think they could piece this together. I think Kuki is a really, really good up-and-coming coach after he retired from actually playing when he left the Valiant. And I think, honestly, we're looking at a dark horse at the Florida Mayhem. And I can't believe I'm saying that. I really can't believe I'm saying that. I've never said that about the Florida Mayhem. I've always been really down on this team. And finally, we might actually be seeing some life from the Florida Mayhem. They've also got 2 assistant coaches, Insight and Docs. They're looking good as well. So, all of a sudden, you've got the makings of a really good team. A really good team. And who knows? This year, we might actually see a Florida Mayhem that isn't trash. Imagine. Just imagine. Florida Mayhem higher than 15th. Anyone predicting it? Because, gosh darn, they're going up in my power rankings right now. But I'm going to leave it here for this one. So, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a like, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you in the next video. See you then.